Hello?
There are seats over here if you would like to get close. That would be great.
We're not that great of a show. We're a little bit of a sideshow.
Understatement.
I think I'm going to use the bass treble today.
We got some front row seats available right here. Right here.
Front row seats. Close enough to see the actor spit.
All right, love it. All right, yes, thank you for all for being here. My name is John. I manage this studio. I've been blessed to have met a lot of amazing people by having this studio. I will introduce a few of the people I've met here along my way at my store here in Detroit. On my left here, my far left here, we have Daniel Geanes. He's a Detroit-based artist, very talented. He's helped me launch a project called God's Work, which is a project to give back to communities here in Detroit. We'll talk more about it later. We have here Nick George, who's an event lead at Story Protocol. Story Protocol is a very interesting set of protocols to help IP rights for creatives. We'll talk more on that. And William Juntunen, is that how you pronounce your last name? Juntunen. William has been around many events here in Detroit, and he's got a lot of interesting stories to share every time I meet him. And so I look forward to hearing more about his point of view on this stuff. So I think here, really this talk is about finding ways to align incentives within our community. Nick, could you, I guess, start with your thoughts on how we can apply the technology that is available to us today, Web 2, Web 3, that help us align communities to incentivize to work together and grow together?
Yeah, sure. Hey everyone, and thanks so much for spending this Wednesday evening listening to some guys talk about abstract concepts.
It is Thursday. Regardless, thank you.
I just got back from a 4-week trip in Asia, and I haven't recovered. I'm a shell of a man right now. There's almost nothing left.
We appreciate you being here regardless.
I'm gonna do my best to talk about stuff, but just know that I'm fried. Anyway, so when it comes to incentivizing, I guess, communities with the tools that we have available, I mean, there's no shortage of tools right now. But when it comes to Web 2 tools, Web 3 tools, I think I think it's like, well, what are you incentivizing in the first place is probably the most important thing. Like, why should people care about something? Why should they have an ownership stake in something? What Web3 does is it kind of opens up financial instruments that create new methods of providing ownership into certain things, such as collectively owned assets on a more fractionalized level. It could be, for example, the protocol I work for right now, Story Protocol. It could be the intellectual property rights to use something in a commercial context. It could be a collectively owned brand in that sense. And I think just having ownership stake over something, being financially incentivized to see something grow, whether it's like a brand, whether it is an album, whether it is a fund, whether it is a community land trust. We now have, I think, this is kind of like a crypto event, right? So we want to talk about crypto tools, and crypto tools open up access to this. I mean, I don't want to go on too long, but like with that access and with these tools being open, there are a lot of perils as well. And I think that that's something we should always kind of preface when we talk about like this new great thing that people have access to, and it's this wonderful new world of finance, and it should be there needs to be a lot more education around it before we can really kind of all sink our teeth into it. I don't know. It's a tough question to answer succinctly, and but that's just a couple of ways that I think we're gonna come close to answering.
I see. So I guess what I'm curious, so Danny, we've been working on a project together, and you've been spending more time interested in Web3. As a traditional artist, I mean, you've done some digital work, but your primary art form is murals and painting. I think you've done some clothing line stuff too. You're interested into acting. As you've explored the Web3 world, how, I guess, as a traditional physical creation artist, like what is your thoughts been primarily on how this technology can impact your career as an artist?
I love how you said this is a new world. It just bringing the physical world into a more expansive space, where different people can like view art, view different other types of things. As far as you can have real estate within it, within crypto, you can have a lot of different things that are tangible, and then you can bring it into the crypto world and just have a whole more expansive variety of just information, and then also selling and just exchanges going on throughout that, and it's just very beneficial new world. Very expensive, so yeah, I love it.
So I guess this is what I'm asking Nick from Danny's context. I was talking to your founder of Story Protocol, and it seems like the primary objective or one of the main use cases is music at this point. So I guess out of curiosity, how would Story Protocol apply to an artist like Danny?
Yeah, I mean, what Story? We changed our name to Story, by the way, but
Good to know.
I know I still call it Story Protocol. It's just thanks. So what Story unlocks is you can think of a story as an IP asset registry. So now you can buy, sell, trade, mint, the actual rights to use something. So what this would unlock for a musician is now like if you were to sell like music NFTs or something like that. I mean, you know, first of all, you need to have an audience. You need to have like people who actually want to buy this stuff. You know, I think if you're selling CDs, if you're selling tapes, records, you still need to find an audience for who's going to buy this stuff. Same thing with NFTs or something. I think, you know, it's so funny. I see like people saying like, oh, you got to buy NFTs or whatever, like celebrating the NFT as a medium or something. But it's like you would never be really into like buying CDs or something. You know, you wouldn't be into like buying cassettes or something. They're merely like a medium to transfer the information. But what I will say, like what Story unlocks is now like you could sell the rights to use your song in a movie, in a commercial, something like this. But what you can also do is you can enable it to be remixed or you know, someone can take the samples from it and create a new track of it, and there is like a chain of provenance here. So the stems, you could even sell the stems like as an IP asset on Story. People can make music with your music, and then you can define the clear terms of how how your music is used, but what kind of royalty percentage you're going to get off that. And if someone makes a remix out of your stems, and then someone remixes that, there's still a chain of provenance that will continually award you royalties. And what Story does that, you know, apps can't do this on other chains, but Story can, is we can enshrine royalties at the protocol level, which means you are forced to pay them. So like OpenSea, if some of you are familiar, famously denied, like, they said that they were not going to enforce royalties. This was like a monumental decision. A lot of people left the platform or have cursed them. I mean, it's permissionless. But what's cool about Story, enshrined at the protocol level.
So I guess you highlight a lot of music there. So I guess is there a story? Has there been any traditional like physical medium artists that have been approached with this protocol yet, or is that something that's not in the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, I you know, like we have investors. So like there's I'm not familiar. Like I grew up in Michigan, Southeast Michigan, and I've been in Detroit for like 15 years. I don't know what K-pop really is. But there's this company called HYBE or Hybe.
Okay.
And they're the business behind BTS and Blackpink and New Jeans. They're 3 big K-pop artists, and they're an investor in Story. And they're on their business end. This is like their Web3 strategy is all based on this like IP and AI kind of trajectory that's taking off. They want to ensure that they can open up new revenue streams for new products that can be developed with this tech, and that they're well suited to do so. So I think we'll see some K-pop artists coming to Story in the future. I mean, I can't really confirm anything. We're just live on testnet right now. So, okay. But yeah, there's like a few different like music apps. There's a few different like, build an AI vocal model out of your voice. You can like train a AI model on your voice, so other people can record songs as you. Like Holly Plus has famously done this. Grimes, I think, has done this. So, okay. We have some apps coming out that enable that as well.
Okay. So I guess, Danny, do you want to highlight the God's Work #1 project that you did? Just kind of talk about the piece just a little bit.
So I was the first artist for the God's Work project, and we're integrating crypto and crypto resources within the painting. So when you tap the painting, you can actually get the full detailed version of the painting, how it was made from start to finish. You also get to know who has the painting in their possession, who had the painting also in their possession. So you get to see like the whole transition of the painting from artists to collectors to future collectors as well. But yeah, it's just a whole cool process that we're doing.
Right. So I guess I'll take a step back here. I titled this talk "The Digital Renaissance." Web3, the NFT boom happened, several years back, and I think it's kind of making a little bit of resurgence. But me personally, I'm very interested in the people in the city. They don't often really care about crypto. I mean, I think that's fairly a fair statement to say among the artists that we know in the city. But it's interesting, like a lot of artists I've witnessed, like Andrea over here is working on what would be the next God's Work project piece, and she's starting it out with the design in digital format just to help sketch what she's going to create for the piece. And I think, Danny, you did a little bit as well, if not just maybe on paper. But I guess taking a step back, I like to think that this digital renaissance is something that I think, if simply put, for artists to understand this is really just contracts at the end of the day. So when Nick's here talking about Story protocol and what it could do for music artists, it's really about enforceable contracts. And so I guess what I'm interested in exploring with this studio is working with artists who aren't necessarily in that digital realm and finding a way to apply this technology with some sort of like digital archive as a part of it. So the piece, we can demo the video later. But we recorded the full creation of the artwork that Danny created, which we then gifted to Big Sean at the American Loves Crypto event that was held on September 12th here in the Lager House. It'll be interesting to see if we could work with people of that name, that large of a name, to help grow a fund to help support artists of all ages, not just the artists like Danny, Danny's been doing a really good job of monetizing himself as an artist. But yeah, I guess I just wanted to take that step back on where I was at with this talk. But yeah. Will, I brought you here because you can make the mix happen and provide a perspective from a man who's a lot older than all of us. So if you want to give your thoughts on, based on the conversation that we had at Startup Happy Hour, and just your perspective of being in this city, talking to different artists, different people, where do you see technology coming in to impact our communities? What do you see like the biggest challenges to our communities? And yeah, I'll let you take it away.
I guess I'm the griot in the room. This is what 61 looks like. I just turned 61 this week, so yeah, it's
Happy
kind of
birthday,
like
Will.
my happy birthday party. And I've been around Detroit for a long time. I was born here, and I left when the city blew up right around 2005. And I came back in 2022, and I began a work about that experience called Detroited. It's the past tense of Detroit. So you've all been Detroited. Congratulations. So this is my perspective, and that is the arts run on what we'll call the attaboy concept. You show up, you do some art, you get a plaque, you get a tap on the back, and then basically, you go on food stamps and Medicaid because, you didn't get any money. And money's important to creating arts. Number two, I really would like good things to happen that almost happen. Let me give you an example. We have right now the Frank Lloyd Wright conference down at the Book Tower. So basically everybody that is a scholar in Frank Lloyd Wright is here in Detroit. We also have the month of design going on. Okay, there's very little interface between those two events. There is no way where somebody who didn't pay the conference fee can get in and dig into the Frank Lloyd Wright content, which is, really, really kind of cool. And I think that's really insulting because I grew up with D. Wright, and he's the nephew of Frank Lloyd Wright, and I've actually worked as an apprentice on a Frank Lloyd Wright house. Okay, but that's an attaboy. It doesn't get me in the door. So that's one thing that was good that didn't happen. Number two, we have this beautiful exhibit down at Campus Martius, and it was put on by Lawrence Tech in the month of design. And they have somebody in there printing out designs in concrete. And I'm thinking, what the heck? Why isn't Citizen Robotics there? Now, if you don't know Citizen Robotics, they're in Corktown. They're a nonprofit, and they printed a house in Island View that's for sale for $135,000. But instead, in this glorious space, we have this contractor that can't get the concrete right. So I'm a little tired of almost misses in the arts. And I believe crypto will add money to the supply chain, and the good things will happen because they'll be worth something. How's that, John?
That's an interesting. Thank you for your perspective on this, Will.
Thank you for your candor.
I think you've taken this in a direction that I guess is kind of interesting to me as well too. Is it's really about how we can align incentives of communities to share information and grow together. So it's really Detroit's an interesting city because it's small enough. I feel like I've met a lot of the key players in a lot of these things. I actually just met the Citizen Robotics founders at a local event. I've been talking to art club people and meeting these different people. They're all accessible. But I guess it's there's these lack of incentives for us to fully collaborate. And honestly, I think events is probably a foundational thing that we need to figure out how to properly share. People post on Eventbrite, they post on Meetup, they post on their own stuff. There should be an event feed that we can all collaborate around. and honestly a communication channel as well. So I don't know. There's a lot of like interesting things I think we still need to explore on how to connect our communities here, and I share your frustration, Will.
You feel my pain.
Yes, I share your frustration. Yeah, so I think from here, I'd like to just again thank everyone for being here. I'd love to all talk to you more about the God's Work project and what it's about. I could chat with it in person, but I'll give you a quick summary of the project. It's basically we're planning on working with artists like Danny. Andrea over here is one of the next contributors to the project. Manera, who's currently working right now, so she can, feed herself and stay in her place, is working on the next piece. And I plan on partnering with many more artists in the city. And as we're able to accumulate a fund, we'll find ways to give back to artists by providing cheaper means to continue to create, and also hopefully find ways to use that money to incentivize members of our community to come together. And hopefully we could find maybe protocols like Story Protocol to help us along the way. Danny has a lot of interesting thoughts on what artist royalties look like, so that's something that we will definitely look to explore, how that manifests with physical to digital art. I believe we have Brent that just came in. We just sold his piece up here on... Did I lose? Oh, there you go. We just sold his piece. It's like the woman on her knees that looks kind of like sketched, and that is digital, right? You sketched that on an iPad, Brent? No, that was marker and pen, and then you scanned it. And so that's something that's physical to digital. Then you printed it, screen printed on this. So it's like I think there's interesting. So that's a repeatable piece of art that can be sold. So we'd like to continue to have conversations around this realm and see what we can do to, find a way to grow our community and line incentives and do something good for this city and for the young people who are coming into a fucked up world. So, Andy.
I think we badly need like an eBay style market for artists to sell IP rights. Because let's say an entrepreneur can come along and they can buy the IP rights for some piece of artwork like that, and then take that risk and then sell prints, $20 a piece and try to make a profit off of it. And I think that's just like so missing. It's been missing for the last 100 years.
Yeah, so we have at least one app like that live on the testnet right now. It's called Color Marketplace, where you can dive into an actual marketplace where you can buy, sell, trade, or even just find whatever you're looking for. And let's say you need like a field recording for your movie that is like the ambiance of a party, right? So you can buy that. And it has like clear usage over how you can do it. But moreover, you could have a design and say this is available for commercial use. There are only 5 licenses available of this design. And you can define, like, here's what it can be used for. And within that, it could be shirts. It could be sweatshirts. It could be apparel. It could be able to be contributed to an AI data set so that someone could rework it, use that original IP and remix it. There's tons of possibilities here, but yes, to answer your question, there is an IP marketplace that is live on Story's testnet
awesome.
right now.
Because I guess like a lot of people say, well, why don't you just use Web 2? Why couldn't we do this in Web 2? But the answer is Web 3 is specifically better than Web 2 at legal.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this is. It's a legal
It's extremely
innovation.
legal. Yes.
So
Very
that's great.
legal.
That's a great use of Web 3.
Well, so the a licensing contract is for royalties or whatever is built like it's usually like it involves lawyers and it has about a 6-month window of which you can actually license something. Like let's say you wanted to use Spider-Man in something to sell snacks.
Yep.
That is at least a 6-month negotiation phase that goes back and forth between lawyers and
it's so expensive today, and it's all OTC.
Exactly, it's extremely expensive.
And you kind of have to be elite to even get into that boardroom.
Exactly. So this completely democratizes it. We've taken an actually legally binding document that is built on U.S. IP law, and we've turned it into a smart contract in which it's fully composable. You can edit all of the metadata within it through whatever kind of customizable fields you can imprint upon it. So that's called the programmable IP license, and it's a click of a button as opposed to 6 months. And that's our thesis, is that this will lead to an explosion of legal creativity, I suppose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah, we need some comic book heroes up there,
Yeah.
fruit snack manufacturers, and
It's never been easier
It's
to
gonna
create a
happen.
new
Yeah.
comic book character.
Let's unleash the artists on our legal contracts. Thank you for that ad, Andy. Yeah, I think there's probably nothing else I really wanted to cover here. That was a good end to this talk. Do you guys have any closing statements you want to add?
I do definitely want to bridge the gap between artists and people that do crypto and technology. There's a very big gap that can close off because art is a billion-dollar industry and everybody loves money. Everybody loves art, subconscious or consciously. And yeah, it's just a lot of money in that area and a lot of ways that you can navigate through that money. So yeah.
Thank you, Danny. All right. Will, you got anything? You got any funny remarks for us to?
Sure. I just want to quickly go over the state of applications for art, and fall is the time for art. So you have Art Prize, which is in Grand Rapids, which basically will have 800,000 people show up. And their app will do two things. It'll allow you to vote on art, and it'll allow you to buy art through friends of mine who run all art things. And that's great. It's just that they could have done something crypto with it, and they haven't chosen to do it in 15 years. Okay, you also have Art Club, which is here in the city, and this weekend they'll have 3-4 venues where people will be able to buy art using the app. And the app will, from a picture, call up the record so you can buy that art, but it's not Web 3, it's Web 2. So I'm not exactly sure why the Coys, Stephen Dorota Coy, haven't gone crypto with their application, because it would be just so darn cool. You also have a number of other players in the art app fall art festival market. The one I really like most, and it's very exciting, it's going to be introduced at Hunt Street Station on Saturday, and this is Amy Hang's project, where I'm going to go to her party, and I'm going to take a scavenger hunt, and I'm going to tap my phone against each one of these paintings, and I think you, Danny, are one of the contestants, and then I'm going to get an NFT. And I'm going to have a piece of the action for the rest of my life, as long as I remember my seed phrase. So the key here is I really like to see this break, and I see it breaking at Hunt Street Station, where we're going to move some art using the best technology.
Thank you, Will.
I think, yeah, as much as I want to put a bunch of things on chain and use crypto tools for everything, I think the reason why like Grand Rapids Art Prize hasn't used it is because the industry itself has a major PR problem. I'd say most people think it's a scam industry, and they're not like entirely wrong. With democratizing access to financial assets and instruments, you democratize access to scams, and now it's like never been easier to scam people. It's never been easier to lose all your money. And until we have like extremely like robust safeguards in place, and we kind of make the UX of this a lot easier, we're not gonna quote unquote like onboard masses. And then you have like these legacy institutions such as Art Prize that are not gonna put their reputation at stake by potentially a failed crypto experiment. I think it really comes down to diehard builders and designers to put forth proven use cases first before anyone would stake their reputation on a new system like this. So we do have a lot of work to do. It's a very nascent industry. It's fun to experiment with these things. That's why I work in this industry as well, is because I do believe in it, and I believe in a future. But yeah, I've also been scammed. You know, it's dangerous out here. It's the wild west of the internet. I'm not gonna like sugarcoat it and say that everyone should do it. I think it's building software that is fragile, and we're dealing with like the ownership layer of the internet. There's a lot of downside risk.
All right, thanks, Nick. Yeah, on a positive note, we're here. Oh, Andrea?
I'm good. I feel like just to kind of elaborate on like the project and what it's been for me to watch it, because if everybody here hasn't watched the interviews that John has done, like he created the art, like the frames and the custom frames that would normally cost us a lot more money, but you get the whole process of start to finish, like the materials being put into the object, like the message, the story that Danny and the artists will be like elaborating on and like showing the journey through the art pieces. And I feel like a lot of times people are more interested in supporting somebody with a face, like to just like see the story from start to finish. Like people like process films and like just to see how things are made. So it's been helpful for me because I really hate being on the like social media and posting my stuff and like being available for people to see what I'm doing. So for me, it's the next level of like a platform to be able to share it. And like obviously it would be interpersonal, like family and friends, to like let them see it. And like I guess that's how we get to network and let people know about it. But then the chips that you're putting in the pictures and like what you were saying with the scavenger hunt, I guess I'm still learning how it all works. So like the event is like people are paying into the event when they show up, and then
No, they're going around and collecting these items to store it as like it's a collector's item basically.
oh, okay.
So you just there's probably a tap, and then when you tap it, you'll be able to just like see. Yikes. You'll be able to see the image, and that's.
And that will go on that like timeline of like Danny's story with that art piece.
No, it won't connect to like anything like that. It's more your personal collection. But I want.
Sorry.
My mic's going out. I want to highlight one thing you brought up. I think another big thing is like the social media presence. One thing that is, I think, also very important that we need to do to help artists is really protect them from what traditional companies do to violate like their creative output without really their consent. Even though like maybe it's opt-out consent, there's probably a lot better ways that we can do things to support artists in that right. I just wanted to bring that up. Thank you, Andrea. Yeah, all right. I don't think that's probably it. Anyone have any like questions or like want to make a statement before we close this out? All right. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your attention. And DJ, spin that shit.
Nice, nice, nice. Take a picture. We got two photographers.
Stand up, bring it in.
Stand up, bring it in.
Looking at.
Thanks, George. Thanks so much.